Call to order, the County City Council regular meeting, November 13th, 2025. Please stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Ann.
Mayor Ilmenin,
Present.
Councilmember Becker,
Yes.
Councilmember Howard,
No.
Councilmember Flowey, Councilmember Kangas,
Here.
Councilmember Deets,
Here.
Councilmember Garabate.
Present.
All right, your motion to approve the agenda, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Dave,
Support.
all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, number 5, public comment. Public comment, if you'd like to step up to the podium, make your comment, 3 minutes. Please state your name and the floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Kyle Button. I am the president of MCIC Race Team, which is a mountain biking race team community group from Marquette, Negaunee, and Ishpeming. I'm here just to present that we are going to be bringing an event from Wisconsin NICA League that we participate in July. So it's going to be the weekend of July 24th, 5th, and 6th. It's going to take place in the Brass Wire Campground area, but it's going to be using all the ramble trails for the entire weekend. It's going to bring about 250, 300 kids and families to the area. And it's more of just a notice that this is going on and just kind of letting everybody know that this is what we're doing. We're trying to bring more kids, more bikes. The kids are from 6th grade all the way to varsity. And our team will be running the event with NICA. So just kind of information for everybody to know.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
Hi, Kristen Wainio, 109 Alice Street. So I was kind of hoping, maybe I should have spoken at the end one, but I would just hope that Mayor Ilmenin, Deets, and Kangas, that you had a chance to talk to Nate about his behavior at the last meeting. It's unacceptable. It shouldn't be tolerated, and there needs to be consequences put in place because these are not isolated incidences. The walls are thin. It's no good. You said, oh, maybe we'll have education on it. Did you have education on that? Did you talk to the city manager about his behavior? Because it was bad. It's not good. It's not a good look. And I would hope that, you guys would say, hey, we need to do better. We need to be better. I hope that happens tonight at this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Seeing none? Close the public comment. Number 6, 6.1, sensory park presentation. Is this you?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, Council, we have some folks from our Sensory Park Committee today. Will you gals come on up, if you don't mind? If you introduce yourselves. This committee was created a couple years ago in response to parents that have children that have sensory issues. And they want to see some things happen in Negaunee potentially. So we formed a committee and we did some review of the parks we have now, spaces that we have available, and they were tasked with coming up with a brand new park design. So tonight, they're just going to share their findings and answer questions from the council. This is not approving a project at all. There'll be a whole lot of work and activities that have to happen first before we do that, so you can see the cost associated with this. And I'll talk more in generalities about what that would be if we were to move forward in trying to find funding for this type of project. So we'll start first. This isn't the full committee, but this is some of the gals. So ladies, if you don't mind, would you please introduce yourselves to the council?
I'm Lori Waters. I'm Erica Altobello, speech therapist at Nagani Public Schools.
I'm Jamie Glenn. I'm an ADA coordinator. I work with the Americans with Disabilities Act.
This is the full committee. We also have our engineering consultant from Coleman. Go ahead and stand up and introduce yourself if you don't mind.
I'm Derek Mahosky.
Thank you for being here. We have our playground consultant not here this evening, but we do work a lot with Ventura. They provided information on products that they have. Of course, if this project was to move forward, we need to go out to bid and all those type of things. And then again, our ADA consultant from SAIL. So what is a sensory park? A lot of people have their idea what a sensory park is, but in generality, a sensory park is a specialized playground or outdoor space designed to stimulate and engage all the senses, often with a focus on being inclusive for children of all abilities. So we have some of those things already in Nagani, but some of the issues that we have is some of those parks don't provide some of the safety features that we need for the children that we're trying to target. It doesn't have the cognitive development education needs that we believe that is needed for these children. And also there's a design factor in this. A lot of times really loud, noisy areas or some of the playground items, like you can see like sound parks where they're banging on stuff and all that stuff, it can cause issues for kids that need kind of more of a quiet, more laid back environment, more stimulation through other means other than just ringing bells and banging on drums and things of that nature. So some of the safety features we're looking at is physical items. You know, we're trying to eliminate the dirt, the rocks and all that stuff. Some kids get a little aggressive and they like to put those things in their mouth. We want to try to avoid those type of things. Surface covering for safety, so falling off of structures. And then some fencing, so we don't have children run outside of the park boundaries. Because some of those kids are a little fast, maybe faster than their parents, and it'll prevent them from going out into traffic or other areas we don't want them to go into. Education and cognitive development, so we're looking at calming, predictable, or regulating sensory input without causing overstimulation. So that's kind of what we're looking at with some of these things. You'll see some of these products in the design factors here. And then we have a community design factor involved. We'll have the ladies talk about that, the committee members, where we kind of designed it to look a little bit like a community to some degree, to include them in our community. And then lastly, focus on non-disruptive sensory equipment and activities, again, that noise control that we talked about. So let's get into what this looks like. Here's the overall design. It's not 100% the way it should look when you look at it from a spatial view, like if you were on the street or you're looking at the park. On this end here, you would have Ann Street coming across it. This is a parking lot that would be built off of Ann Street. And if you're familiar with the Ann Street Park, you have the basketball court, and then you have all those old swings and playground structures that are out here. That would be replaced with this. It would create a parking area, and also it would keep the basketball courts at this time. So we're gonna go a little bit in here and give you another view of what we got here. Very similar to some of our other parks. I mean, it's very basic, but there's some things in there that are gonna be different for the kids that we're targeting again. Hopefully I'm not saying anything in the public, so I'm trying to let you guys see at the same time. So, ladies, if you don't mind, we want to talk about the design a little bit and your experience in this playground, and let the council know what your thoughts are on this overall playground.
So I definitely think it's important to note that literally every piece was like hand chosen. We didn't go off of a guide. We are playground designers. We literally handpicked every piece of equipment for a reason. We all work with or live with or make accommodations for people with disabilities. So that was really our big goal, was sensory and physical accommodations. So if you can go back till the other picture, I think, with the big structure.
Well, I don't know if I know.
Try the arrow.
No, if you don't, that's
Pay
okay.
other people.
That's okay. Are there any other pictures of it? Or-
There
'cause
are
this
more
is-
pictures. Yeah.
Okay, well, like he mentioned, so the main thing, the theme kind of was after like a community village sort of theme. So we've got like a grocery store, we've got a fire station, I think there's a post office, different little things like that. And then our idea was, with the ground covering, to kind of create some sort of aspect that looks like maybe water. We've got a road feature, something that can kind of create that play system for kids with especially autism who maybe need a little bit of predictability or support in saying, okay, like this is how we're going to pretend play. Here's the fire station, let's drive there. They like to walk the road. They like to walk the lines of the road. We've got a sensory tunnel, which you can kind of see on the far right of that picture, that is fully enclosed, and the sunlight comes through and it makes different patterns, which will be amazing for kids with different sensory needs. We have a variety of wheelchair equipment that will be really, really cool for a variety of kids, not just kids with wheelchairs. The sensory swings right there will be accommodating for a variety of kids that like to swing, that like to hang those little circle things, they swing and they move. That little cave is also a place for kids to kind of get some break from all the sensory stimulation. I don't know if there's a picture of the big play structure somewhere. You can kind of see it. That middle one is a wheelchair merry-go-round. That big structure in the middle there is a play structure that has no stairs. So it's completely wheelchair accessible. There are transfer stations for people that are in wheelchairs or that use crutches or have mobility issues. In between that structure are different layers of netting. So especially kids with autism and different sensory needs might like to lay in between those layers of netting to kind of get that perspective of stuff above them and stuff below them. So there are a variety of ways to get to the tops of those slides rather than just your traditional stairs, which I think is amazing. I'm a caregiver for a 10-year-old in a wheelchair, and she loves the slides. So that will be an option for her. We also have a slide that's built into a hill, if that's in any of the pictures right there. You can see we're gonna build a fake hill and put a really cool slide going down, again, for kids to run up and down, but for kids with mobility issues that can't climb stairs, this is a perfect option for them. Did I miss anything, Jamie?
Just the surfacing is really important. The surfacing allows, wheelchair users, people with all types of disabilities, access to all of the playground equipment. And I really think this committee did a really great job of considering every type of disability. I mean, it's really hard to, consider all these different options, all these different, scenarios, but I think they did a really good job at, selecting good equipment and making sure that it's as inclusive as possible. So, really, really great job there. Just really happy to be a part of this.
And we use SAIL for every project that we do, because one of the things we're looking at, we're gonna be wanting to go for probably some DNR funding. They do require that review, but it's also good practice because we wanna make sure that all of our parks are gonna be inclusive as possible. And we gotta make sure that not only our parks, but any project that we are doing is inclusive. So we do use SAIL on every project that we have to meet the ADA requirements. And just to think about, one thing I learned from SAIL was, boy, I am gonna get old one day, and hopefully I don't have a disability. But if I do, I know I'm gonna be able to access our equipment or access things. I mean, I won't be sliding on these things when I'm 70, but other things like sidewalks and buildings and pieces of, buildings that we have within the city. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
We kinda talked about the family. So it could be a whole family of kids going, so it's for disabilities and kids, and it's gonna be fenced in completely. So like parents will be able to more sit and relax and spend time with their kids instead of worrying about them escaping and running and stuff. So those are just some important things too we had kinda talked about.
So we'll be getting to the slide on how much all this costs, because this is a huge project. And it costs a lot of money to do these things. So the first part we're looking at really is this parking lot area. an area where we'll have a restroom of some sort. It won't be with water or sewer, because in the winter time, we don't have a 24-hour park system. It'll be most likely gonna be porta johns of some sort. And we'll have lighting there as well, cameras, and then we'll be focusing on this light green type color first. And then later on, if we can expand that project or pieces of that project over time. This also makes it flexible, where if we raise all this money, let's say, and somebody specifically wants to pay for that, they could do that as well. So this is very flexible, we've designed it that way. And we've designed it for expansion, doesn't mean we have to, but we have that option, just like we did with Jackson Mine Park. We have the option to expand that park in the future to accommodate more people. This is just a blown up version to kind of show the footprint. Mr. Mayor, I encourage any questions council or you may have for you while we're doing this, if you want to do it that way. So.
By all means, council members, if there is any questions or comments, concerns, go ahead, Dave, please.
I guess my initial question was gonna be, and you just answered it, is it gonna be fenced, a fence around it? I don't wanna make it sound like, oh, a fence to like, it's like prisonary type of thing, like, what, so that if, when, cause there's trees and such behind,
Parents want that though, like, I know we don't wanna say that, but
But
like,
they do, yeah.
they do, that was the first meeting we had this year. They literally were like, we want this fenced in, and I was like, I want this fenced in too.
Wire's great.
We don't want any,
Safety.
it's a safety thing, and if we're gonna accommodate for kids with autism who are elopers, and just safety in general, this busy street, it's important.
Yeah, it'll be all in the design of the whole park. Obviously, we're not gonna be putting razor wire and stuff like that up, right? We're not gonna go that extreme, but enough to block them so you can at least get to them before you get over that fence potentially. Other things too.
Thank you for bailing me out.
So we can actually, we'll probably do more like chain link in the front or some way you can passively see people through it. So you can make sure people aren't doing things in the park they shouldn't be doing, and also you can see through and make sure kids are safe. The backside, because on the backside we have 480, we don't want kids going down that hill and running into that traffic. So that might be more of a wooden type feature where you could do special paint on that, where the kids could draw the chalk on it, or they could paint on it maybe, adding an extra layer of sensory projects that these kids could do, and then you can just paint over that again, they can come back and do it. So it's just some fun stuff for the kids. This picture represents the park now. Paul Mino's not here anymore, but I think he installed this stuff maybe, but who knows? Shout out to Paul Mino. But this park is super old, as you can see. There hasn't been much done to it. I think there was some work at the basketball court, and also we had a volleyball facility put in, but I don't know how often that actually gets used. So this is a perfect spot for it. We're kind of more of a little bit quieter neighborhood, and it offers a big space for parents to be able to take their kids to, and it's fairly flat, so less work on the land that we have to do. This is, I'm sorry, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask more about the safety fence. Is it gonna be one way in, one way out?
I think that's what we talked about,
Okay.
similar to Kids Cove, which
Yeah.
is one way in, one way out.
And then like benches close to the gate so that parents can keep an eye on it?
I think we discussed.
Yeah, there
benches.
isn't like a final design yet, but that will come out and be fleshed out, but we definitely wanna accommodate those type of things, like trash cans, where parents can sit so they can access their children, and other factors that will have to be, discussed, when we do a final phase of what this is actually look like. So what will have to happen is, once we determine we wanna move forward, we'll probably get a fundraising committee, and I'll talk about some funds that we can potentially get. And then what we'll end up having to do is we have to go to the Parks and Rec Commission, we have to submit some grant paperwork, and then when all the stuff's all said and done, we have some resolutions here we have to do with the council. Council will have to approve the final design, and it'll have to also go to the Parks, or excuse me, the Planning Commission as well.
And that was my next question was about grants, if there was, grants that would be possible to cover most of that's a big number.
Yes, so I'll talk about that in just a moment. So I only put the first phase on here because that's really what we're talking about here. But just I want to point out first the cost, $623,000, that's a lot, right? Compared to what we just spent on the Jackson Mine Park, just a regular camp, or excuse me, playground, that's $264,000. And then I want you to also be pointed out to this little yellow part I put in here. That's the ground covering. Just the surface alone is $200,000. That's about 33% of the overall cost. And that's to protect the children when they fall down, they're not gonna hurt themselves. So, what kind of funding can we get? We can get DNR funding for sure. Probably, I believe about 500,000 up to. There's an MDR grant available, $100,000. And then certainly we could try to get the Patrioticity Grant, which we've been very successful in this community in doing several projects which could provide us up to $150,000 because it would be an ADA accessibility brand new project. So there are some funding mechanisms. We can't cover 100% with grants, but there'll be a funding mechanism that would cover a lot with grants. And then we would start going out to the community and asking them how they can provide and then how much the city might want to provide for the end of the project. So that's where we're at, kind of on how we would fund it, and that's how much it would cost to make it all happen. Let me check and see if there's one more slide here. That's the end. So that's, hopefully that answers your question. Are there any other questions the council might have from me or the committee?
Sustainability on a project like this, you know, when we talk about these parks, has something been built in northern Minnesota like this where they get the same amount of snowfall we get that's covered in wet ice for months on end, and how do we maintain it, how do we keep it, number one, safe, and two, lubricated, you know, so things work, and you got chains and things that, you're right, you start getting squeaks, and you talk about sensory that you really have to watch that, so how does sustainability work, and what's the life cycle on something like this?
They're
So,
based out of
yeah.
Minnesota, actually,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Yeah, they
So,
could- yeah, they-
convenient, I mean, the short answer, they're based out of Minnesota.
Yeah, so the equipment was all tested out in cold weather climates. So they're meant for that type of equipment. Obviously, people aren't gonna be using it in the winter, but still, it's gonna be affected by the weather to some degree. So obviously, general maintenance, it's just like the playground we just built here. I haven't been out there to hear if any squeaks are happening yet. Maybe some
Got a
other
couple.
parents.
Yeah.
So,
There's a few.
so there's some stuff we may have to look at and then contact our provider and make sure we can do stuff we need to do to keep that facility going. I don't know how much it would cost, so I'm not gonna throw a number at that, but I would say at minimum, when you first build a brand new facility, it takes some time to get to that first level. If we can get away from that and not have to get to that first level, or we can just put some spray on it, WD-40, I don't know what you would put on it, but we would wanna talk to the manufacturer about that. But all this equipment's been rated for that cold weather.
And one good thing too, like with the surfacing especially, like say you have one kind of section or area that's, you know, more run down than the rest, like you'd only have to replace that one section, you wouldn't have to
That's what
replace
he
the
said, you
whole,
would just
whole
fix
thing.
that spot.
Yeah,
Probably account for a lot of drainage too, right? So
Yeah.
it
Yep.
easy, I mean, I'm sure they've all accounted for it, I'm asking questions that have already been answered.
Yeah, engineer would be able to answer some of those questions. I mean, we would grade it out the way it needs to be, drainage we put in the way it needs to be for all that stuff. You know, there's, the good thing, like, we won't have as much issue with like like we have over here, you can have more weed infiltration because you have a lot of soil. This product they'd have on the ground is more rubberized, so you're not gonna have all that breakthrough all the time, so.
Any other questions, council? Nothing further, Ned?
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, ladies. No decision to be made. Thank you. Moving on to number 7, unfinished business, seeing none. Number 8, new business, 8.1, 2026 budget resolution. We need a background on that, Aaron, or? Nate, would you like to?
We don't, there's nothing to, no, nothing to discuss, Mr. Mayor, just
Standard procedure to adopt the budget,
All right.
capital improvement plan with fee schedule and fiscal policies for, well, you're doing the budget first, right?
Budget first,
Budget
yes,
first,
so,
budget for 2026, yep.
I will entertain a motion to adopt the resolution 2026 City of Nagani, Michigan budget.
Make a motion to accept the budget.
Dave,
Support.
and John. Okay, so any further discussion, Dave?
No, money's in, to keep the city going for the next year. Bottom line.
Very good. John, any further discussion?
That just closes the loop on the process we've been working on for the last couple months.
Thank you. Council members, any further discussion? Seeing none, all right, we'll take a roll call vote, Ann, please.
Councilmember Becker,
Yes.
Councilmember Howard,
Yay.
Councilmember Kangas,
Yes.
Councilmember Deets,
Yes.
Councilmember Ganabate, Mayor Illman.
Yes.
Motion passes
Thank you.
5-1.
All right, moving on, 8.2, city financial, 2026 fee schedule, capital improvement plan resolution, and fiscal policy. We'll entertain a motion to adopt the fee schedule, fiscal policy, and capital improvement plan as recommended, I guess the best words.
Make a motion that we accept the, group finance policies as, I guess, read as presented.
Thanks, Dave.
I'll do that.
And a second? Support. All right, Tracy. All right, any further discussion on that, Dave?
Just want to go to previous comment, just about the last item.
Thank you. Tracy?
No problem.
All right. Council members, any further comments? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll move on to another roll call vote now.
Councilmember Howard,
Yay.
Councilmember Kangas,
Yes.
Councilmember Deets,
Yes.
Councilmember Ganabate,
Yes.
Councilmember Becker,
Yes.
Mayor Illman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good, thank you. All right, 8.3, ice rink update. We're going to hand this way over to you again, Dave.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have Matt Trado from Trado Engineering here to do a presentation. We have hired Matt to do a review of the ice arena. We also did a walkthrough with some user groups of the ice arena, and he is going to give a cost opinion and some opinions on the matter concerning the ice arena, and then I will give a brief update on the pathway forward that we'll bring to you in December.
Perfect, thanks. Matt Trudeau Engineering and Development was tasked with, doing the preliminary analysis and working with the ice rink staff and city staff to review and determine reasonable project budgets and capital improvements needs for the ice rink. Born and raised here in Marquette, graduated from Tech in 2010. I've been doing municipal engineering work, architectural engineering, and construction management work ever since. Almost all of it here in the UP. Project information. So we were essentially tasked with identifying the real capital improvements needs for the ice rink. You know, are we able to develop a complete scope of work of what the needs are for the ice rink for today and for the next 20 years in the future? And so that was like the core focus of the actual project, was to work through city staff and ice rink staff to identify, and then local contractors and contacts to develop cost opinions that we know are realistic with the current market conditions, so that when we propose the actual project, potentially project to bidders or to voters, that we had an accurate representation of the project scope and the actual costs. So the existing building was built in 1986. It's a prefabricated metal building, 180 by 220 feet. It's located on M480 and just off the Ironwork Heritage Trail. And here's a basic site plan that just shows the layout of the ice arena and the potential location of the current parking lot and the expansion of the parking lot, if that's one of the items that we actually move forward with. This is the interior layout of the ice arena. This demonstrates and highlights some of the core infrastructure needs within the actual space. Chiller is in the bottom right, proposed dehumidification in the upper left, locker rooms in the bottom, outlined in red, and then the bleachers shown in orange. So project priorities, this was one of our main focuses, was trying to identify the, like, top to bottom, what the actual core needs of the ice rink were. Chiller removal and replacement was the actual main focus. We've had ever increasing issues with the chiller, so that was put at the top of the need, because obviously you can't have hockey without ice. Dehumidification system to deal with too much moisture in the space that results in dripping water on the ice, that also destroys the integrity of the ice. Locker room renovations, bleacher upgrades, parking lot improvements, and then miscellaneous items. So the chiller replacement, it's an existing 130-ton chiller from the 90s. The service needs and maintenance costs have continued to increase exponentially, especially in the last few years, to the point that we have started to become ever increasingly concerned about the needs for us to remove and replace this item. We were able to solicit a budgetary number from JCI, and that was the number that we used for the $500,000 preliminary cost. Dehumidification. So ice rinks typically have a very robust dehumidification system. We were actually able to find a project that is just getting wrapped up in the Sioux, where they installed a $200,000 dehumidification system. That system is larger than the needs that we have at this facility, but that was the budgetary number that we used at this point for our own project. The issue with too much humidity is it creates condensation and moisture, which then drips onto the ice and destroys the integrity and the quality of the ice. Locker room renovation portion of the project. Right now there are 4 main locker rooms on the first floor, plus the second floor high school locker room. We're lacking capacity, we're lacking proper layout. We need more than actually 4 locker rooms, and so there's gonna have to be some creative engineering analysis done to be able to add ideally more space and more locker room facilities. We need locker rooms for the refs, we need at least 4 other locker rooms. There's also potential needs for women's locker rooms, and so this is gonna be one of the more challenging items because we only have so much space within the building, and so we have to get a little bit more creative in our ability to address that concern. Bleachers. The bleachers are in various stages of poor condition. This will be one of the items, I believe, as we're kind of ending or approaching the end of our funding, that we could either expand or limit the scope of work to take full use of the availability of funds to maximize its potential. Bleachers are, there's 4 different sets of bleachers on the first floor and another 3 sets of bleachers on the second. And the parking lot is starting to get to the point where it needs to be resurfaced. It also needs to be restriped. That could either be a really cost-effective item like doing a seal and a striping, or it could be something more expensive as far as expanding the HMA to cover the full space of the gravel area as well. And that'll be something that is also a determination that's made based on available funding. And then miscellaneous. There are new bathroom fixtures that need to be removed and replaced. There's some minor improvements that can be done at the kitchen, potential flooring upgrades. None of those are significant cost contributions to the overall project, which is coming in around that $1.1 million mark. But there are miscellaneous items that will be identified and included in that bond proposal. So with that, I'm gonna just go back to this floor plan and just kind of open it up for questions.
Council, any questions from that, presumptive capital improvement? Go ahead, Dave.
Matt, the Calumet Armory, right? Like inside rink area wise, where the seats are, the benches and that, would our rink be, comparable to that?
I believe so.
Not considering the concessions and walking out, that type of stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, as far as like overall size?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right. This, this is a standard sized hockey rink here. And so we have a little bit more auxiliary infrastructure than your basic ice rink, but yeah, they're all pretty similar sized.
Well, the reason I say is that granted, even up at Calumet, they still have limited seating up there still, so it's hard to.
Yeah, the mezzanine helps, right, we have some quality additional infrastructure that we're looking to expand upon, and, I think the bleachers is certainly an opportunity that needs to be addressed.
Am I wrong in assuming that right now we're having trouble making ice, right?
Correct, and that's,
So everything besides making ice is just miscellaneous crap right now,
so,
right? In
the,
reality, we need ice for the kids to play on.
yeah, that's why
People have
we,
paid money, their kids are in hockey. Remember, this isn't supposed to be just a hockey rink. This is supposed to be for everybody in town to have open skating too. It has kind of been taken over by the hockey players, which isn't really fair to the other people who wanna skate. You know, I know there's kids, they go to school, the place they got open skate is done at like 3:30, 4 o'clock half the time. They don't get out of school till after 3. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
that's why we put it at
Not
the top
even-
of the priority list, right? Like, we listed at the beginning that we have priorities, and we need to
Right,
focus
and-
on specific infrastructure and the removal
we
and
get into these
replacement.
projects and everybody seems to wanna shoot the moon on their pet project. Whether it's your ice rink or somebody's playground or whatever, they want the best of the best of the best for that situation. And we can't even afford to just maintain the damn ice now.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of what we're talking about here tonight, is our ability to fund the infrastructure improvements that we've outlined here. The chiller's at the top of the project priority list for that exact reason. You can't have an ice rink without ice, right?
Right.
So the chiller was identified as the most important part of the presentation, like you said. So
I get
it's,
that, but you're adding in a bunch of other stuff that may cause delays or problems. That, like, you're trying to cause more problems than just make ice.
no, this is not about identifying problems, it's about identifying opportunities to improve the infrastructure of the ice rink. Chiller was identified as the most important, because we need to make ice.
Right.
Dehumidification was identified as the second most important, to protect the integrity of the ice.
You do realize we need a new roof on the fire hall, right? That's not your concern.
That's, we're talking about the ice rink.
I get that, we're talking about spending money, that's what we're talking about.
So when we get to that point, we're gonna talk about how we're going to fund this project, and we haven't even got there yet. He's been hired by the city
I get
to
that.
do this, so he doesn't need you to be screaming at him.
I'm not trying
He is
to-
the engineer that is trying to
I'm
help
not
us
trying
out.
to interrogate him like that, I'm asking simple basic questions. We're having trouble making ice, let's worry about making ice and not worry about the rest of the stuff. And maybe we can get the project done in a reasonable amount of time.
That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
he's talking
yeah,
about.
any of these improvements would not run, I mean, the chiller would be the first item that would be completed, and that would be the priority. And that's what we've talked about here tonight, right? Like, what's
Right.
priority number one?
Right, I
The
get
chiller
that.
and the creation of the ice.
Right,
Dehumidification was number two, because that protects the integrity of the ice. So like, we've identified the core infrastructure needs of the space. Yes, there's some other items that are not necessary for us to use the ice rink, but have been identified during our walkthroughs. We had 3 site visits, we met with a lot of people to talk about what the needs are, how can we improve the overall operational capacity of the ice rink. And this is what we came up with, and it sounds like your concerns are properly articulated in that presentation, right? That the chiller is the most important, and that's why it was listed first and talked about first.
right.
Council, any other questions for Matt, Mr. Tito?
All right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, sir. And if you would like to speak on
Yes.
founding mechanisms?
Yeah, so Mr. Mayor, we had our presentation, Mr. Trado, coming in about $1.1 million, assessing the needs, for user groups and other problems we've heard about for the ice arena. Our goal is to try to tackle as many of those at the same time, rather than piecemeal it. The goal at the end of the day is to hopefully get the ice arena at an operation level where it's not costing any money to the city, or it's making extra money. We're hoping for that. If we get to the point where the ice arena ever is making extra money, then the council would have to make a decision whether we would make the ice arena its own separate fund, so those monies stay within the ice arena and then can be used to facilitate repairs and future investments in the ice arena. So we're not there yet, obviously, and I don't know whether we will get there with this idea, but that's kind of one of the goals, because we want to get this facility to not be so much a burden on other funding mechanisms that we have currently right now. So, in order to fund this, originally I had talked during public comment last meeting, kind of more off the cuff on what our preliminary plans were. The plan was to do kind of like a millage, but unfortunately we are at our millage cap. So, with that said, that would be voted, the folks voting on that issue at a $0.5 mil. Excuse me. We will still, if the council directs us, so go forward with a millage type proposal that'll be a bond proposal, which the taxpayers would still pay for it. Ultimately, no matter what, the taxpayers pay for this because they're paying for it either through a vote or they're paying through it if you guys decide that you're just gonna spend the money yourselves, because it's all taxpayer dollars no matter what. So that's the easiest way to go forward, is have a bond, the folks will vote on that within the city limits. So that's roughly being calculated about a $0.5 mil, that payback on that's to be roughly about $2 million. So that's with all the interest. Here's the plan that we would like to present. So in December, we would like to come to council and get permission to hire a financial advisor that will do two things. One, they'll prepare the paperwork for the bond and provide how that will be paid back over time. And then they'll also do a rate study. Now, if a bond does not get approved by the voters, they will waive the fee that it costs for that. You'll be giving more information on that at the next meeting. However, we would have to pay for the rate study still. The rate study is important because it tells us what we probably should be charging for ice. Does that mean we'll charge that much? I don't know. That's gonna be a decision by the council, and we gotta make sure we're not gonna gouge our user groups too much in order for them to be able to still play and be on the ice. The other thing we'll be asking is for us to hire a bond counsel. So bond counsel as in the form of a lawyer, not a council or a commission like we are. They will advise us on legal matters pertaining to that bond and also the language that will go on the ballot for the folks to vote on whether they want to pay for this or not pay for this. Now, in order for us to get there, we have to have all that stuff done, and we have to have our ballot, our resolution, we have to have the ballot language, all that stuff has to be turned in to the county clerk 90 days prior to the election. We cannot vote on this. The earliest we can vote on this, I should say, is the May election. Now, we would like to try to do May election, because if we can get the May election and it turns into a positive vote where the people support it, then we can borrow the money and hold that money, while simultaneously Matt will put out bids for all these projects, focusing primarily on the chilling unit and the dehumidifier, and we would purchase those units immediately as soon as those bids come in, and award those and then have those installed during the summer, just in time for the next season to come by. The rest of the work could still be done, but let me back up for a minute. We're gonna try to get a grant from the Michigan Department of Agricultural and Rural Development for $100,000 to cover part of those expenses. The other part, all the leftover stuff that would move forward to 2027, because then we are going to attempt to get a DNR grant that we found that we can be eligible for, but can be very competitive. However, we feel that with the amount of money we'd be asking for, we may have a shot. And if we don't get that grant, we have the money already to finish the rest of the project. If we get both grants, all we're doing is reducing the amount of money that we would actually have to use from those bond proceeds, and we can send those back earlier than what we would do. That would reduce the overall cost of the taxpayers even more as it pertains to them getting a tax bill every single year. So as it stands right now, projection-wise, and these are not 100% projections that are accurate, at a half a mil, residents on average could be paying anywhere from $25 all the way up to about $32 a year on their taxes as an extra charge to cover that bond proceed. Other than that, that's all I have right now. I do wanna mention that I did contact the DNR, and we're gonna get a little bit more information on our grant agreement from 1986 when we built the facility, just to kind of find a little bit more information and make sure everything's accurate. But one of the ideas or questions asked, can we just sell the ice arena to somebody? Traditionally, that has not turned out to be a good idea, because it causes the price to go up exponentially. And generally speaking, if we're not gonna be profitable at it when we're subsidizing it, neither will a private entity. That's not always true 100%, but it's gonna be very difficult. In addition to that, there'd be a conversion issue, meaning we got a grant to build this facility, we promised it would always be in the hands of the public. Now we're gonna renege on that deal, so that puts us at risk of getting funds from the DNR for projects like we just talked about, the Century Park, Jackson Lane Park, the pavilion we built, and any other thing you wanna do recreation-wise could put grants at risk. In addition to that, I don't even know what the conversion factor would mean, because typically what happens when you convert something like that, sometimes you have to give back grant money, probably not the case in this circumstance, so I don't wanna alarm anybody, but it could mean we have to, do something extra, I don't know what that could be. So I just wanna put that out there for everybody as well. Other than that, unless there's some additional questions you might have for myself, Mr. Mayor, or the council through you, I'll be willing to answer those questions as I can.
Thank you. Council members, any further questions for Dave or Matt, I suppose?
The DNR grant, is that the one that I had talked to Dave about, that Ironwood used to replace their chiller?
Yes, that'll be the land and water one, it's a federal proceed grant, so there's the little extra hoops you have to jump through. And the reason we have to wait to 2027, because we can't turn that grant application until April this coming year, and then they don't award it till December the same year, and then you spend the money the next year, so. But that would be for like the extra stuff, the chilling unit stuff, if the millage passed, the bond passed, we'd be able to buy that immediately and spend that money to make sure we have ice next year and it's actually working the right way.
And you said that if we get that grant in 2027, we could pay back the bond?
Yes, there'd be some technical issues with that, because typically when you get a bond, there is a clause in there that says you can't pay extra proceeds back until 3 or 5 years or something like that. There's some stipulations there, because the person who buys the bond typically is saying, I'm fronting you this cash, but I gotta make some money off of it. So they would make it $800,000 off the full bond if we paid it back over 20 years. But if we can pay stuff back a little earlier, the cost should go down a little bit, so,
Okay.
yeah.
And, could we also use that, you said we could use it for the additional improvements, like the locker rooms, bleachers, parking lot?
Yeah, so the hope is if we get the grant, let's say it's $300,000, we'd have to do a 50% match, so another $300,000. That's already in the bond that we borrowed the money, so it's sitting in the bank waiting for us to use. If we get the grant, then we don't have to use $300,000 from the proceeds, but we still have to match it with another $300,000. So let's say we have $1 million we borrow, we spend $600,000, we only have $400,000 left, we'd still spend $300,000 of that and send back $100,000 of that,
Okay.
roughly, because we have to match 50 to 50. So it all depends on what the end of the day with that last chunk's gonna be, but the problem is we can't spend or do any, there's some stipulations that come with that grant. We can't go out to bid, we can't spend any money, we can't award any money until we're awarded the grant, and then we have to jump hoops for them for a little bit, and they'll tell us what we can and cannot do. It's pretty simple, but there's procedures. Then once we get all that done, then we can finish the project either in 27 or early 28, maybe, or the spring or summer of 28.
And didn't you say before that we might be able to take some of that and put it into the, you know, make the ice arena its own enterprise and put it into its own?
Yes, when it was a village, we could do that, because there'd be extra money, right? Because I was hoping to do it over a longer period of time and raise a certain amount of money. Unfortunately, in this circumstance, we wouldn't be able to do that, so any money that we get from the bond proposal, it's different from a millage, it's specific saying you're going to use the money on this project, you have 3 years to spend it, and that's all you can do with it. If you don't, then you have to return the proceeds, or you can't spend the proceeds on other things that are not incorporated in that, the bond calling, per se.
But if the ice arena does start making money, then we can take
That's a
that
different-
profit
yeah.
and put it into its own enterprise.
We could do that if we decide to vote on it, yeah, absolutely. So let's say that all of a sudden the ice arena is making $10,000 more than it spends a year. Then we would wanna do that probably for at least 2 years to make sure it's not just a fluke, and, see where that goes. And if council decide, hey, we're gonna talk to our auditors, is this what we should do? And they'll give you their opinion, and then you guys make a decision based on their opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would it make sense, I know I mentioned this at our budget meeting, there wasn't anybody here, but it would, you know, make sense to put some money-making investments into the ice arena, like kind of vamping up open skate a little bit, vamping up the concessions, maybe putting arcade games or something in the lobby. That'd be something that we could add to the.
We don't have that in the proposal right now. I don't know what the cost estimate on that would be, and what would be the, yield back from that, like there's a return on investment ratio we'd have to figure out. Maybe the financial advisors can answer those questions to you. Typically, you wouldn't be able to raise enough funds to really make too much of a difference,
Yeah.
for something like that. It may
Well,
cost,
not like
you
really
know, I don't know,
expensive stuff, but.
yeah,
you know,
I hear what
just,
you're saying, yeah.
You know, like little things that will make the kids wanna hang out there more,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, typically,
Spend more
like,
money.
the concessions is ran by the user groups and all that stuff, so they make that money off of that, and they rent that space from us. One of the things we'd have to worry about if we're going to have more or additional or expanded services in there, would be having to have like, people there to watch them or something like that, so that may cost more money. Unless there was like somebody that came in, there was a user group that was facilitating their services for free or next to nothing to make sure, nothing was going on furiously, so. But it's an idea to look at, I think, so.
Dave, please.
Have we looked into the possibility of, like, 2016, I think it was, Marquette put in for that Hockey Town, Kraft Foods, and then, X one years later, Calumet did nails about it. Is that option possibly then maybe looked into, and it's kind of a real stab in the dark, but, you know, it's worth a shot.
We have, looked at that, and that's what we've determined. We could still try, I mean, anything's worth a try, again. However, if we're able to get that MDR grant, I don't know how much the Hockey Town one actually provides. I don't recall off the top of my head, and we're able to get some grant money from the DNR. That would potentially cut anywhere from $400,000 to $500,000 off the full price tag, which would significantly decrease the cost to the taxpayers, directly on their property tax, so you'd be going roughly from like a $500,000 to maybe, 0.3 or a little above 0.3 mil or something like that.
And then let's say, like you said, it's difficult to pay the bond off, right? The lessee would like to make their money back on it, correct? But you strike a deal where you can pay that bond off. Once that bond is paid in full, whether it's 10, 15, 20 years, then our taxpayers no longer have to incur that tax, correct?
Yeah, so the bond terms right now is being proposed for 20 years. So typically, that would be paid over a 20-year term. If we're able to pay back proceeds quicker, you could knock off 5, you could knock off 6 years or more, But these would be better questions when we have the, financial advisors and the bond council here, and they'll be here on the phone at the next meeting, they can answer those questions for you guys. I am not a bond council guy, and I am not a financial advisor guy, so they will be able to answer those questions a little bit more with, detail and, what the law says and all that type of stuff, so.
Okay, very good. Very good. Any further council comments, questions? Seeing none, no decisions to be made on that tonight, so we will move on to 8.4, the Miners Road Resolution. Thanks, Matt.
In April of 2022, the council approved the land swap with the Nagani Public Schools so that the school could construct a ball field. In return for the land, the school would construct a city street from Arch Street to the entrance of the ball field. Enclosed is the certification of Miners Road and survey. Recommendation, approve the resolution.
Any further background on that before we?
Sure, Mr. Mayor and Council, this is basically just to codify our agreement. There's been some lag time in some of those agreements. So basically what will happen is the road that was agreed upon by the school to build, in return to getting the land for $1 to build their softball, facility. They have built a road to our standard, and now they're turning that road over as a public road to us, which will maintain. That road will go on our maintenance list, and we start receiving maintenance dollars, so we can, maintain that road over time.
Good. All right, I will entertain a motion that we approve the land swap with the Nagani Public Schools, for the certification of Miners Road and survey. Dave?
I'll second.
All right, Matt will second that. All right, any further comments, Dave?
Like I said, in 2022, we discussed this and it's kind of like putting the bow on top of the present. It's in process and it's a good idea and it's a good thing. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Matt, any further comments? No?
Not on this.
All right, council, any further? Any further comments? All right, we will go to a roll call, please.
Councilmember Kangas?
Yes.
Councilmember Dietz?
Yes.
Councilmember Garabate?
Yes.
Councilmember Becker?
Yes.
Councilmember Howard?
Yes.
Mayor Ilmenich?
Yes, motion passes. Very good, thank you. All right, moving on, 8.5, Streetscape 2 Jackson Street Project change order.
Enclosed is a change order for Streetscape Number 2 Jackson Street Project. Royal Trucking's original contract was in the amount of $74,512.50. This change order is an increase of $10,899 for quantity adjustments for a total contract of $85,411.05. Recommendation, approve the change order.
Thank you. Do you wanna add anything? No, we kind of know what we're doing here. All right, entertain a motion, for the, change order of Streetscape 2 Jackson Street project.
That's all good.
Dave will make that motion, and then a second.
I'll support it.
All right, John. Any further comments, Dave?
All the projects went through, and it's a little bit of adjustments here and there, but sometimes costs change in the process of doing business.
Very good, very good. John, anything further?
Nothing beyond what Dave said.
All right. Council? Nothing further? All right, seeing none? You want a roll call? You want a vote? All right, all in favor of the Streetscape 2 Jackson Street project, change order, say aye. Aye. All opposed? And 8.6, CCI land closed session for section 15.268, Delta, purchase or lease of real property. We have a motion to go into closed session, please.
Motion for closed session.
All right, Dave and Tracy will support that. We'll do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Councilmember Ganabate?
Yes.
Councilmember Becker?
Yes.
Councilmember Howard?
Yep.
Councilmember Kangas?
Yes.
Mayor Gilman?
Yes. Alright, first things first is, we need to entertain a motion to come out of closed session, please. Alright, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, now, entertain a motion for the, CCI land closed session, purchase or lease of real property.
I'll make a motion to have city staff and attorneys enter into negotiations with CCI regarding this purchase, potential purchase.
Lee, John?
Support.
And Tracy? Just a normal vote. All in favor, or I'm sorry, any further, oh, we can't discuss this. We can't
Well, I
discuss
mean,
this. Discuss. Any further discussion? No. Any further discussion? Council? No. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right, moving on. Number 9, consent agenda. 9.1, minutes, October 9, 2025, regular minutes. October 16, 2025, special minutes. 9.2, claims and accounts. 9.3, revenue expenditure trial balance reports. 9.4, Mark Tran appointment. 9.5, delinquent utility bills to the tax rolls. 9.6, senior center grant. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
So moved.
Support. Dave. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Me.
Councilmember Ganabate?
Yes.
Councilmember Becker?
Yes.
Councilmember Howard?
Nay.
Councilmember Kangas?
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Mayor Gilman?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-1.
Thank you. All right, number 10, public comment. 3 minutes, step up to the podium, state your name.
Hi, Chris Moinio, 109 Alice Street. So I just want to know what's happening with the Vista. A lot of money put towards the Vista. I don't know, I drive through town every day after work. I can't really see any construction happening at the Vista. What's happening with the Vista? Are we trying to save the Vista? What's happening? There's a lot of people in the town who would like to know. And the Christmas decorations look wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Tim Whistle on 219 East Lincoln Street. I'm also the president of Iron Age Hockey Association. Just a couple of comments about the whole locker room or the whole ice rink plans. I guess to me the ice rink's a service to the community, and when I hear profitability of the ice rink, I get a little bit nervous because it's a function of the community, it's an asset to the community, it's an asset to all the businesses downtown. You know, hockey, public skating, whatever, they bring in a lot of people to the community, and I don't feel right in saying that the place should be profitable. It's an asset to the community, it's a reason why people hopefully live and want to come to our community, but how much money do our parks make? How much money do we spend on our parks? So I just don't feel right in saying that the ice rink has to be profitable. Yes, it does need improvements, it needs lots of improvements, but having the mindset of it needing to be profitable, I don't know, that kind of makes me nervous because, like I said last month, hockey's already very, very expensive. And we're trying to grow hockey within the community, and we're trying to keep costs as low as we possibly can so people can afford it of all walks of, of the different household incomes within the community. So I served on a tier 2 and tier 3 committee with MAHA, with the whole state of Michigan, and we're looking at ways to try to make hockey free for house to try to get more kids to play. So it's just, cost concerns me a little bit. That's all, thanks.
Thank you.
Kristen Whistler, 219 East Lincoln Street, and I'm on the Iron Range Hockey Board as well. And I just want to say, as far as the user groups are concerned, and not just Iron Range Hockey, but the other user groups, this plan is way above and beyond what we actually need. What we need is the new compressor, and the dehumidifier would be nice, but the compressor is an absolute must. And these user groups aren't asking for all of this, what I would say is fluff. We need the compressor. Without the compressor, we don't have hockey, we don't have anything without it. So, you know, I know that's gonna be a big sticking point for some people, but I just wanna put it out there from our narrative, we don't want the extra. We want the compressor, we desperately need a girls' locker room and a ref locker room, but those are things that Iron Range or the men's league or the high school hockey team, like, we can all fundraise together for those types of things. So I just wanna let that know that, you know, this extra stuff isn't part of our plan, we just need the bare minimum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Dan Wolf, if you may. I'm here, basically, I've just kinda got a different idea as far as the funding on this. Right now, we're looking at doing another bond proposal or millage on taxpayers. I was kinda looking at stuff, and currently, we've kinda got a potential easy button on the assessor office. You guys currently contract that out. And they're on this end of the table doing a bad job, cause revenues are definitely up, and you know, you're getting that way cheaper. Could we not look at doing the city manager's job as a contract thing? At the $180,000 the city manager costs, could you not go and do a contract out for $90,000? Maybe the lady in Marquette, you know, we do what they did 3 years ago. We have a bunch of parks, we'll probably get our homeless people, we got rid of parking, now we'll probably get parking meters. We'll probably throw an Airbnb ban in there. I'm just saying that's an easy way to free up potentially 90 grand. And I think you could probably find somebody, and it's not something that is unheard of. Towns do contract out the city manager position. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
Jill Howard, 207 West Clark Street, here in Edina, Michigan. I didn't really plan on saying anything this evening, but after listening, especially about what's going on at the ice arena, and I wish we were as in the black as we are in the red with our finances, and nobody really seems to want to talk about that fact. Even though it's been presented over and over again, the state doesn't come in, audit your books, and tell you, you gotta stop this. And with the grants, it's the first time tonight I remember hearing being said out loud, but you have to match them. Most of the people have felt that it was free, and people love free stuff. I don't know why. Well, I guess I know why, but they don't see there is no such thing as free stuff. And we have to stop spending, and everything in this town needs maintenance, not what you choose to. And I do believe that you had a plan to bring in lots of revenue and that it would all somehow work out. But unfortunately, things haven't panned out. And I am really sad about that. I don't want to see this town fail. I don't want to see you fail. I don't. But we have to come into reality. And I was a hockey mom too. And I did go to a different career, but I started out waiting tables because that's what I needed to do at the time. And I remember pulling a lot of double shifts and asking a lot of favors to send my girl to hockey. And she was amazing, and it's an amazing program for our children. And to hear that our own children don't even have the open skate to learn the skills that my own child did from the taxes that I pay. And it's, you know, you keep asking for this millage, that millage. I wish I had it to give y'all. I just don't, we really have to buckle up and do what absolutely has to be done,
30
spend what we
seconds.
need to, and try to pull this back in the right direction, because it can be done. And I just hope that things happen for the best around here, and everybody's heart and motivation is in the right spot, and it's not self-serving.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Chris Penny, 277 Rehinden Road. I'm also on the Iron Range Hockey Board. There is open skate on the weekends, on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and there is open skate, I believe, from 2:30 to 4 during the week. But they also don't, for some reason, have open skate during Christmas break, in the afternoons and all that stuff, which doesn't make any sense to me. But I just wanted to point out the profitability part of it. There's a million things in this town that nobody makes any money off of, but they do it just because that's the way it is. The other thing is, I played on that ice the first year it opened, so, and that was in '87. So, I mean, I remember when that was like a huge deal, and I can tell you there's probably a couple thousand people who have registered for Iron Range hockey in this area in that last 40 years, and they would be extremely sad to see this go. So, like I said, we don't make money in the parks. I totally sympathize with the people that came tonight with the whole thing with the park and everything, and it's a great thing to have. But we need to take care of the stuff that's already in the town before we start spending money on stuff that's not, we need to enhance the things we already have as opposed to keep focusing on new stuff to happen. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any further public comments? Seeing none, closing public comment. Number 11, council comment. Let's start with Dave tonight. What you got, Dave? No? Tracy? Amanda?
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the ice arena, and I think I hope that we weren't talking about putting any more cost on the user groups. I don't think that's a good idea. If that comes up, I'll vote no. But I think that it would be good to make open skate more attractive. If we were to be able to bring in some money from the ice arena, I think it should be like with the open skate. The few times that I've gone, very few, because I'm not an athlete, with my kid, it's been pretty dead, It'd be kind of cool, is all I'm saying, that if we could make it a little more attractive for kids to come, after school, spend some money, on concessions, and, if we had a little more kids coming for open skate, doing skate rental, things like that, that might bring in a little bit more money. But I would never suggest that we transfer that cost to user groups. You guys pay enough, hockey's expensive. But, it would be cool to make it more attractive, open skate more attractive. I think it'd be a good outlet for kids to get out of the house, get off of the TV and phones, and get out there and exercise. So that's all I'm saying, is I think that it would be, good to make open skate more fun for the kids.
That's it?
Yeah.
Thank you. John, anything from you?
Yeah, just, I know that there are probably a lot of people out there really struggling right now, and wanted to remind folks that, if you're having issues, with your utility bills, that the city has a, program to work with you on that, and, reach out, to the city offices, and, try to work out some kind of, plan.
Good, thank you. Matt, what you got tonight?
Well, there's been a lot of things that came up tonight. You know, I'm not against having projects, but let's be realistic in what we can afford, and what we can really afford to spend, and what we can maintain. If we've got parks, we couldn't maintain the parks we had, and you wanna build more parks. We can't maintain an ice rink, but we worked on a budget. We've needed a new ice chiller since I started on the council. This is the third year there's been trouble with the ice, and people are pissed about it. Not a penny in the budget that I see for ice. Maybe I missed it, maybe somebody else can tell me where it was, but I didn't see any consideration for the maintenance on the ice that we know we need. It's also been brought up how the city manager has treated different people on the council and in the residents in the town. You either seem to get favors from him, or he might send the police to your house, try to have you arrested, or bully you in front of the citizens. And council members sit here and say like, oh shit, I didn't see nothing. Let's talk about ethics, but let's not mention morals. You know, I mean, Craig, you yourself don't return phone calls. You won't even answer a text when I try to ask you questions. How do you think this whole thing is supposed to communicate if you don't, as the mayor, you don't have to like me. I'm not asking you to like me. You don't have to like me. Right?
Right.
That's the whole point of this thing. You're supposed to get different points of view from everybody. I'm sorry that you feel that I represent all the jackasses in town, but I happen to know a couple of them. We've all lived here for years. Kids in this town used to be tough enough to skate outside. And they did it for free. As long as they had a pair of skates. I mean, you know, like I said, I didn't see anything for a roof on the fire hall. I know damn well it needs a new roof. I've talked to the contractors that have been on the roof. I don't see that in the budget. But this stuff is gonna come up, and how are you gonna pay for it? Cause you ain't saving no money. I mean, you can see that. Out of the, what, 10, 15 million you plan on spending next year? Did you save 2%? No. You haven't banked anything. Nothing.
There's a reason behind that, Matt, but.
Well, you still gotta be able to do maintenance on your stuff. You keep spending it. Even the accountants come in here and say, quit spending money. And you keep running out hiring more people to, oh, let's do a research group on this and get a brain trust on that. For crap we can't afford anyway.
Okay.
And the whole town is gonna suffer for it. Eventually, if they're not suffering already. And to let the city manager get away with the crap you do is ridiculous. And I think the mayor, or the attorney ought to weigh in on some of the shit that goes on around here. And that's all I got to say.
All right, very well, thanks, Matt. Well, there's a lot there, hey? So I guess I won't touch on too much of that. I'll let Nate touch on that if you'd like to. We do have, what's it called? Christmas. Tinseltown coming up. You know, like to try to end this on a little lighter note. Tinseltown's coming up, winter's coming up. Well, snow hasn't really fallen too bad yet. Let's remember, once it does start falling, let's keep our fire hydrants shoveled out, just in case, emergencies, right? And, you know, Matt, we've sat on this council together for 3 years, and I appreciate all of your comments. I know you've made a lot of comments, and I did used to answer the phone and talk to you, and I did used to answer your texts until they started getting quite vulgar, and that's when I just said, I'm not going to answer your texts anymore. Okay, I see them immediately,
I
okay?
don't, you could have said, hey, you know, like, I don't talk like that when, you know, like, when we were in the military, we didn't talk like that to
I get
people,
it,
you know,
I get
like,
it, Matt, but.
right, like, that's
gave
just
you
who I am, I'm sorry.
I gave you.
You don't like my Uber accent.
You
is.
guys,
Stop.
it's council comment, not debate, right?
Okay, so, with that being said, I thank you for your years of service on this council. I know we haven't agreed on everything, but thank you. The city thanks you. You've done an exceptional job on this council. And with that, I have nothing else to say. So, Mr. City Manager, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. To answer, there was a comment raised on the Vista. There will be a website that goes up. We'll make a press release on that. We're working on getting some information that'll be housed out there so folks know where we're at on that. It's just taking the time it takes to make all that happen. This is not a very easy task, but so we will be in the coming months discussing this issue further. One of the issues is to effectuate tax credits, which we've mentioned at this meeting several times that we're attempting to get, but that just takes the time it takes. The state is reviewing the plans, the proposed plans, because we're trying to keep the historic features of that facility. So once that information becomes available on the website, folks will be able to go to that website to learn more information on that. There's nothing more we can do about that because otherwise we have to fulfill the construction side of those things, which would be a considerable amount for the taxpayers to burden. As for the ice arena, the proposal that was presented tonight is to take care of all the issues that have been arisen over the last several years since I've been here, and that were prior I got here as well. So it'll be up to the council to decide what project they want to have effectuated for the community, and then it'll be the council's decision on how that's gonna get paid for. So I'm just here to provide information. The council's here to make decisions on that. Tinseltown will be on December 13th from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock, provided by the DDA and downtown businesses and other sponsors. We will also be having on Saturday, opening day, from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock, our first Witches Night Out that will be presented also by the DDA and downtown businesses. Then lastly, I want to close with I brought the 2 awards that the city has won for its downtown enhancement project. The first, the trophy here with the blue, is from the Michigan Municipal League. We'll hold on to that for a year. We received the most votes on that project. And then lastly, we just last week received the award for Project of the Year for our downtown project from the Michigan Downtown Association, which we're a member of. And the city of Negaunee sits as one of the board members on that, representing the whole UP. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. City Attorney.
Well, I guess I'll take Mr. Howard's advice, and here's my thought on all this. There's a healthy or an unhealthy thing going on in this country right now where you're not allowed to express an opinion, and if your opinion is different than somebody else, and it devolves into yelling and name calling and that sort of thing, and I think that's probably what you're talking about. There's certainly, this is the place for healthy debate, okay? But it's not the place for what I call gaslighting or name calling or that sort of thing. So I would ask anybody who's a member of the public and wants to speak here, or the board members, to try and follow that. Happy Thanksgiving.
Well, thank you.
Right, with that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Support. John, all in favor? Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.